Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's show was recorded on July the 12th, 2016. I'm your host, Game Psychologist, and with me as always, a piece of sandpaper.
Very sick caffeine rage.
Yes, on today's show we will be discussing the games we have played. The Westboro Baptist Church fights with Pokemon Go players over their gym. Rocket League is adding a crate system. Warner Brothers has been fined by the FTC over Shadows of Mordor. We'll have our weekly community corner and our Steam weekly deals discussion, and that is if we make it that far. So, I mean, this episode's going to get used this week regardless since we're recording it, but it might be shorter than usual, because if your voice just kind of craps out on us, then we'll just have to stop wherever we are, and that's that, folks.
You could go through the rest of the podcast by yourself.
That would not be nowhere near as entertaining. I could do it. I could talk for 3 hours, no problem. But it wouldn't be as fun. So
yeah, I didn't want to skip a week and just put out a freaking episode unless we really had to, and I sound a lot worse than I feel. That's the thing.
Yeah.
This is the tail end of a summer cold / allergies, and it just has my voice being, well, sandpaperish.
Yeah.
Which is going to be interesting to see what my equalization does. I may have to toy with it a little bit to make it so I don't sound like Louis Armstrong.
Make it so you sound like
maybe
Barry
I should
White.
do that.
That would be amazing. I'd like a Louis Armstrong or a Barry White on my show. Can't get enough of your love, baby. Oh. All right.
Can't get enough of your love, baby. Can't get enough.
Oh. So
and if we get a copyright strike on that,
I would actually be proud if we got a copyright strike on that. I'd be like,
you'll start saying to me cigarettes to smoke to roughen up my voice, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's time for you to start smoking.
You know, I actually saw a post on the voice acting section of Reddit asking if they should start smoking to roughen up their voice. It's one of the things that you just can't make up. You
know, I don't think that I would want to smoke to roughen up my voice.
No, all you have to do is hack up a lung for a day.
Yeah. Yeah, just get sick and then record some stuff sick.
Yeah, go mess around in a storage room with a bunch of dust, which is what I did on Monday.
Yeah. Several of our...
Little nugget of wisdom. While it's great to have a friend with a truck, make sure it's a reliable friend with a truck.
A reliable friend with a reliable truck. Yeah, but, you know, the whole voice thing, it's fine, because I did probably 4 or 5 episodes near the beginning of our run during the spring with, I don't know, a cold or allergies or something that wouldn't go away. I sounded awful for like 6 weeks. I edited out many coughs and hacks and throat clears and drank a lot of tea.
Well, I'm going to try to make it so that you don't have to edit out that many on me, but no promises.
Oh, that's rather sweet of you, sir. So, do you want to talk about PC parts now or later?
Oh, we could go ahead and talk about it now.
So, as a joke, and I don't know if we'll leave it or if we'll take it out for the notes, but I put PCPartPicker.com for a game that I played this week, because I probably spent 6 or 7 hours on that website looking at computer stuff. So I think, I don't remember if I mentioned this on the podcast, I definitely mentioned it on Twitter, but I'm building my mom a gaming PC specifically to play WoW using my old 750 Ti, which I'm going to be replacing tomorrow, as long as Amazon hasn't lied to me about the shipping date, with my GTX 980, or not my GTX 980, gosh, my RX 480.
The RX 480's sold out worldwide for Blacks, I heard.
Yeah, it's been sold out for a while now. It got taken down everywhere except for third-party resellers, you know.
Yeah, we'll reab you on the price.
Yeah. But, so I put together that whole build. It was kind of a budget build, specifically targeted at playing WoW, which is not very intensive. You need a half-decent CPU to play WoW, but otherwise, I mean, the 750 Ti is more than capable of running that game maxed out.
Yeah, so, WoW is designed just to be playable on something just north of a potato.
You can play it on a toaster. That's what I told my mom. I said, you can play WoW on any old toaster, but in order to make it look good, you have to have something decent.
Yeah, well, you need to be careful, otherwise you burn the toast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so especially if you go raiding.
So I put that together, and then we decided that it would be a good Christmas present for my father-in-law to put together a media PC for their house, because he works in IT, but he doesn't have access to the computer parts like he used to, because of a job change.
Yeah.
And their media center PC that they use is their oldest and crappiest PC. And so I thought, well, I could probably put a build together for a media center PC for $300 to $400. So I put that together this week. And then I inherited a PC that I built for my dad's business to do photo editing and other things, which also has a 750 Ti in it and an SSD and all kinds of other things. And I'm like looking up compatibility, like trying to figure out how much, do I want to like strip this system for parts or do something else with it. So I've spent a lot of time on PCPartPicker.com. It's a good site. If you want to build a PC, go there. I wish I had like a coupon code or something to give you, but I mean they don't directly sell parts.
It's where they make their money is actually through the referral links on what you click on their site.
Yeah, so they're good places.
Because honestly, I think most people that will be using that site will have ad blocker to begin with.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I've spent a lot of time there. Ultimately, we decided to turn that PC into a kind of a file server here at the house. Yeah. Just because we have so much stuff. Because I mean, we've got our entire, well, not our entire, but almost our entire movie collection digital. Our entire music collection is digital, and we have like a kajillion photos because we have a kid. Plus documents and backups and all kinds of other stuff. It'd just be nice to have it all in kind of a central file server. So I'm gonna have to get.
And then there's the Tracer Vault.
Yeah, the secret Tracer Vault. But it does have an SSD in it, so I'm probably gonna take the SSD, put that in my main machine as a boot drive, and then replace the hard drive in that computer with one or maybe two large hard disk drives, something like 2 to 4 terabytes of storage space inside the machine, plus my existing external drives. So it's gonna be a monster, a storage monster. I really don't know what to do with the 750 Ti though for a media machine, or for a file server. It doesn't really need a graphics card. So
well, I would say I would give it a good home, but I think it's not much better than what I have, and I'm still looking at the 480 once it comes back into stock, and what's likely the third-party coolers, to be honest.
Yeah, the 750 is probably 10% better than your graphics card that you have, maybe. But I mean, if you're going to buy a 480, there's no sense in you getting that and then just getting a 480. Turn around and getting it. So, but if you weren't going to upgrade, I'd gladly send it to you. Yeah, although I could do something with DirectX 12, because even non-DX12 compatible cards can be used in conjunction with, what's it called? Multi-display adapter or multi. It's something that allows you to use two graphics cards that are completely different. Like, it doesn't matter brand or specs or anything.
Well, at least until NVIDIA breaks it.
Yeah, but basically, it assigns a portion of the screen to one graphics card to render and a portion of the screen to another graphics card to render. And it tries to do its best to balance them out. So it's like if you've got one really powerful graphics card and one weaker graphics card, it tries to give the weaker graphics card less stuff to do. And initial tests show that it mostly works. So
yeah, in theory, right?
Yeah, so I might do that with it, but that support is, or that feature's support is still not very widely used. I think there's only a couple of games that can utilize it at this point. So, yeah, that's PC talk.
Well, I got my old computer out of storage as well. I'm going to see if it's working probably next week, though. Yeah, the monolith node, it's glitchy.
I thought about taking this PC and putting it next to the TV and using it for a media PC / a stream box for gaming on my big screen. But I mean, it's a full-size ATX tower, and there's nowhere for me to put it except in the floor next to the TV stand, and that's just inviting trouble with a 2-year-old. So that's out of the question.
Yeah, Glitchy's also a full tower and heavy as hell. Oh, I don't know what I was thinking on getting a full tower for that machine.
Yeah. Well, when I built this PC for Dad's shop, I basically was like, what's on sale? And it was a full-size tower. It's like 22 or 24 inches tall. It's huge. It's got space for 6 PCI cards, or 6 PCI slots. Crazy. I don't know what I'd ever put in it, but I've got it. I thought about transplanting my machine into that case, but I just was like, I don't want to do the work. I'm lazy. I don't want to do that. I mean, I'm already going to be replacing my graphics card, and I'm going to be adding 2 fans to my machine. The 480 doesn't run very hot, but I figured, well, you know, I don't want to... I'm not big into overclocking. I mean, there are definite benefits for it, and there's nothing wrong with doing it, but I just don't like to start messing with things that could potentially break, because I don't have the time anymore to actually fix it when it breaks. So...
Yeah, and overclocking is just... it's a lot of voodoo, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a way oversized power supply that could handle the extra power draw. I might, if I overclock my processor, I'd probably have to go with liquid cooling. But
yeah, and honestly, I know liquid cooling has come a long way, but I don't trust it. I'll be perfectly honest. I've seen far too many horror stories of just, you know, loops that broke, even just closed loops that are sold third party, you know, they're not custom. I've just seen so many of those break. It's like, I don't trust having a bunch of liquid in my computer.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a little less distrust and a little more laziness. I mean, that's the big thing. That really is the big thing. I just don't want to put in the work that it takes to put one of those systems together, which I know is not a long time. Like, it's probably a couple hours at most, unless you have something that breaks. But I just don't want to do it.
Yeah, a closed-loop system, it's just a little extra time to mount a radiator. And especially if you get a case that's designed to accommodate a radiator like that, it's maybe 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah. I don't think this case is designed to accommodate a radiator. I'm sure you
could do it otherwise. It's just cases that have the room for it already is a lot easier naturally.
Yeah. So is that 10 minutes of PC talk good enough?
I think so.
I mean, next week I'm going to be talking about how games play on the 480 unless I get a dead-on-arrival card, which, fingers crossed, that doesn't happen. Because if that
trust me, if you get a dead-on-arrival card, I think we'll know far before the podcast starts.
That's very true. But if that happens, it might be weeks before I get another card. Honestly, at that point, I might
just get the third-party coolers at that point.
Yeah, or I might try and get a 1060. Although they'll do another Founders Edition and nothing else, and I'm not going to pay $300+ for a card that only should cost about $250.
Yeah, Nvidia just screws people with their Founders Edition, which honestly is just a fancy word of saying "fuck you" to the consumer.
Yeah,
or it's an early bird fee, I should say. That's probably the best way of putting it.
I could buy a GTX 950 and overclock it. Oh, but see, now I'm going down this rabbit hole, and I better stop. I better just stop and stick with my 480 and hope it's not DOA.
Yeah, I hope so.
I could do 2 950s in SLI.
Ooh.
Yeah, probably. I just, nope. I gotta stop. Let's talk about games.
Oh, are you sure you want to talk about games?
As always, you go first. Let's talk about games.
Okay, well, first game up on my list is Pokemon Go.
Go away.
I had a friend that just was going absolutely batshit over Pokemon Go when it first came out, and I thought, I'll see what it's all about. And I looked at it, downloaded it, and I thought, if I was a little over half my age, this would be amazing. But Now that I'm an older, cynical, more crippled, and far lazy gamer, fuck it.
That sounds about like my response to it.
I think the full title of this, at least for where I live, is Pokemon Go to Church.
Really? Is that the only place around you where Pokemon appear? Is at a church?
No, that's where the Pokemon station was that you had to go to replenish your supplies.
Oh.
And that's a quarter of a mile away from me. And then the way it has it, it's the Google, well, not Street View, but Google Map style. It's really zoomed in.
Right.
So it's the tilted map, and you can see probably about a mile off in the distance. There was the church near me. And on the far side of town, which is about a mile away, I saw the gym and one, maybe two more Pokemon stations. I thought, this isn't worth my time.
I should download it just to see what's around me. I think I'll do that. I'll do that this week, and I'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, at your home, it would be fuck all.
Yeah, there'd be nothing here because I live out in the middle of nowhere. But, I mean, I go,
Supposedly universities are really good about it.
Yeah, I mean, I drive every day to a university where blah, 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 blah. Words. I lost my words again. I go every day to town, to a university, and, all around to do things. So I bet there's plenty of stuff to do.
Yeah, it's probably a really good game for you, just to encourage you to go move around. But I will say that...
Except I don't care.
Yeah.
I just don't care about Pokemon anymore. There's nothing wrong with them. I'm glad that people enjoy it and are, there's some cool stuff that's happening because of it, although for the love of God, stop posting it on Reddit. But, I think it's a good thing overall. It's just that has passed me by at this point.
Well, I looked at it and thought, wow, this isn't much of a game. This is going to be huge because it has Pokemon in it.
Yep. That is exactly it. Didn't their stock rise something like 25%?
Yeah.
Because of Pokemon Go?
Yeah, somewhere between 23 and 25%, depending on the time frame that you use.
Yeah, so
just
that's
absolutely huge. And there was actually a really good article, and I did copy it because, I didn't really think that we were going to go this far down the rabbit hole in Pokemon Go. Talking about how Nintendo's IPs are actually bigger than their hardware at this point. And Pokemon Go is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, I believe that. That's why people have been arguing that Nintendo's going to go the way of Sega and get out of the console business. Because all their IPs are worth way more than their hardware division.
Well, maybe the NX will save them, whatever the fuck that is.
It's a Pokemon Go machine.
Well, they actually have a little bracelet that you put on that is a Bluetooth device that connects to your phone, and you press the button to catch your Pokemon.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like $35, and people are scamming them for over $200.
Wow. I've got a $200 smartwatch. Why can't I just do it with that?
Because it's not shaped like a Pokeball.
Of course it's not.
And it's not licensed.
It's not licensed. That's the thing. All right. Well, I mean, this isn't the last time Pokemon Go is going to be mentioned this go around, so.
Yeah, we have a news article about it and a tweet.
Yep. So, with that in mind, what's next on your list?
Well, it was the Sunday Sampler for this week. I was still scraping the bottom of the barrel for my summer slump. Nelly, Cootalot, the Fowl Fleet. It was a mediocre point-and-click adventure. Let's put it this way.
Wait a second. Hang on. That's Jesus. No, seriously. What's the Kim Jong whatever game that makes fun of North Korea? It's really, really crappy. Oh, keep
you're
talking,
looking at the writer? The guy in the trailer?
Yeah, the guy with the long hair and the beard.
Yeah, that's the writer of this point-and-click adventure.
That's amazing, because I'm pretty positive that's Jesus from Kimulator.
Well, he's supposed to be some sort of big stand-up comedian in Britain, but since I'm a uncultured American, I have no idea who the fuck he is. But they do sell pretty heavily that Tom Baker's in it, and he does narrate a good portion of it. Granted, I only played about 15, 20 minutes of it just because I realized that this game just, it wasn't clicking for me. It wasn't anything terrible, but there was just a couple things about it. The maid, the heroine, for some reason she seemed like she was reading her voice odds very, very quickly at times. And it was very hard to catch what the fuck she was saying.
Yeah.
And also, and I know this is going to be nitpicky as hell, but they spent so much time trying to make the background look like a storybook, a children's storybook. But then they make it where all the characters are popping out. So you get this almost cartoon syndrome of being able to spot exactly who you can interact with because they stand out like a sore fucking thumb.
Yeah, I can see that from the screenshots. Like in this one screenshot, I bet I can't talk to that guy over there in the corner and that guy. But the guy she's talking to and this guy over here,
yeah,
like they stand out.
Yeah, which I understand it's probably by design, but gonna have to pause here. I hear a train.
Choo choo.
I realize they probably did this by design because, well, here's the thing: is that a lot of point-and-click adventures these days, they have it built in where you can click a button or press a button depending on the design of the point-and-click engine, and see where all the interactive spots are on the screen. So having it where the characters stick out like sore thumbs just kind of takes it out of it. Takes me out of it, to be perfectly honest. It's just really disappointing because they spent so much time making it look like a storybook, and then they kind of break it with the character design. Right. And it has that very dry British sense of humor, which is very hit or miss depending on just how it's written.
I love it.
Because,
I love
like humor. Monty Python, Doctor Who, that sort of humor I enjoy. But it just wasn't clicking for me. Which it may just be, a fault on my part.
Man, it sucks that the point-and-click adventure wasn't clicking for you. But also,
I will say that if you're interested in it, this is actually the second game in a series, and the first one is a freeware game that they offer on their site, so I would say go check that out. You can find it on their store page, I believe. So go check that out if you want to see if this clicks with you, if you pardon Jared's horrible pun.
No, you made that.
Or if you're a huge Tom Baker fan.
I also feel compelled to point out that I was wrong. It's not the guy who was Jesus in Kimulator. They look incredibly similar, almost identical, except this guy has got red, either kind of reddish or very light brown hair. Kind of hard to tell based, depending on the lighting. And Jesus has got brownish black hair.
Well, at least according to the modern depictions of him.
Touche. Sorry to...
Speaking of Jesus, I found Jesus in Southpark, The Stick of Truth.
Is that the other game you played?
Yes.
That was a well-done segue that I'm going to ruin by pointing it out.
But no, I actually did find Jesus in that game. One of the quests is go find Jesus, and he's hiding in the church.
I saw the screenshot you posted of the Southpark version of Facebook.
Yeah.
It was like, come on, guys, the first place you guys would look.
Yeah, Jesus is a prankster like that. You enter the church and you just hear, tee-hee, and you see Jesus poke his head up out of the pew and jump back down. That game is fucked up, and it's hilarious, especially if you're a South Park fan. Granted, I fell off South Park for a few seasons, so some of the more recent references to the show kind of goes over my head. But the fact that they reference even very, very old episodes is just amazing. There's little things like, I went to Stan's house and there's somebody in the closet. The other screenshot that I posted, you saw, I got that nose job that makes me look like David Hasselhoff.
I didn't realize that...
You didn't see that screenshot?
Let me go look at that one again.
Yeah, granted, it's not the greatest screenshot just because it's very tiny on the screen, but your character is pretty tiny to begin with.
Oh. I didn't even catch that the first time. I was like, why did he post this screenshot? I don't understand. That's hilarious.
Yeah, you could go to all the boys' houses and look in their closets and see references to old episodes as well. Like, Cartman has the record from Faith Plus One, the Osimo outfit. I'm trying to think of what else. I think there was a can of Beefcake 5000 or whatever it was. Yeah, one of the very old episodes.
Yep, I don't know.
But
we've had this discussion before. I think it wound up in a Franken episode. I don't know jack about Southpark.
But here's the thing that I wasn't expecting. I was expecting a lot of references to Southpark, of course. But I wasn't expecting references to game design to begin with. And there were at least a few. I've played... the game takes place over several days in game time. And I'm through the first day, and I'm just starting on the second day. And at one point, well, spoilers, but I think it's pretty much in the trailer, you get abducted by the visitors. And as you're going around their ship, you start finding audio logs. You know, pretty standard fare. But the person in the audio log is complaining about audio logs and them being filler for the game content.
That's pretty good. I enjoy meta stuff like that.
Yeah, just talking about how they're so useless. Sorry. You're going to hate me for this week, aren't you?
Yep. But that's all right.
But let's see. They talk about just general game mechanics, and it's, a bunch of boys just role-playing. So it's very apparent that they know that they're in a game, so to say.
Yeah.
So they'll talk about the game mechanics and at times chuckle about it or make comments. Like they were talking about how the PowerPoints work, or PP, and everyone starts chuckling, and Cartman just goes off saying, if you have another name for it, you better goddamn say it. And let's see, he's the Grand Wizard of the Koopa Keep Kingdom, or the KKK. As a matter of fact, I got the achievement for joining the KKK.
Nice.
Yeah, I will say that if you're an achievement hunter, you're going to absolutely hate this game because it requires several playthroughs. Having certain items equipped at certain times, doing certain actions. There's an achievement for meeting Jesus while you're a Jew. I just chose not to be a Jew because I like bacon. So it's just all sorts of little things that, if you're an achievement hunter, will just drive you nuts. And part of the reason why I'm not playing this on my channel, well, one, is I wanted to just, be able to just explore the game. And when you're recording something like that, you feel compelled to focus on one thing big time. And for this would be the main story, most likely. So I'd be skipping all the side quests, and there are quite a few side quests in this game. I will say that it's probably about half side quest and half main story, to be perfectly honest. Just because you meet a lot of the characters, if not all the characters, or all the primary characters from South Park. So you're doing a little job for here for Mr. Lee at City Walk. Because he got invaded by the goddamn Mongolians. And you actually... everything on his menu's crossed out. It's city, whatever. It's crossed out and put Mongolian. And you're talking to him, and you look over and you see Mongolian sitting there looking at him. But there is a couple things that I do have a problem with. For one, the summon system. I think it's going to suffer from too good to use syndrome, where you're given a single use of a summon per day. And like I said, the game takes place over multiple days, so you're at best going to be able to use those summons just a couple times. And they said that you can't use the summons against bosses because they're too powerful. The bosses are too powerful and Jesus is scared of them. And yes, Jesus is a summon. He actually comes down from the sky, puts on a pair of shades, and whips out an assault rifle.
That's amazing.
But since you only have a single use a day, and you can't use it against bosses, I think it's going to be, use it once after saving just to see the animation, and you're probably not going to use it again. Which is, a real detriment to, in my opinion. And also, a lot of the game is focused around real-time actions, press X not to die, essentially.
Right.
And if your timing's off, or if you're not paying it requires you to pay full attention, I should say. You can't just zone out. You're paying full attention the entire time. And this is something that they're changing in the second game, so this isn't going to be a grievance for the second game. It's going to be more strategic there. But it's something that, if you don't like real-time actions, you're absolutely going to hate the combat in this game, just because it's Paper Mario-ish, where you can block by pressing a button. You can, whenever you attack, you press a button to power it up. And actually, in this case, it's actually worse, because if you don't press the button at the right time, your attack is absolutely horrible. So it's very divisive on whether or not you like the combat just because of that. And I'm trying to think of anything else, really. It has an absolutely huge cast, naturally. Just because it features a lot of the Southpark characters. Including just small ones, or ones that's been basically phased out, like Mr. Slave shows up. Do you remember Mr. Slave?
No.
Mr. Slave was essentially Mr. Garrison's replacement for Mr. Hat for a while. Well, after Mr. Twig, he went back to Mr. Hat, then he left Mr. Hat again and had Mr. Slave.
You're doing this as some kind of revenge to me, aren't you? Because I have no idea what you're saying.
Well, let's just put it this way. You deliver a very phallic-shaped vibrating package to him.
Okay.
It is a very, very wrong game. And I'm absolutely loving it for it.
Well, all right then. Does that mean it's my time to talk?
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about our favorite game to take a dump on. Evolve. So I downloaded, immediately, as soon as it went live, I downloaded it and went to play it. So Evolve is now called Evolve Stage 2. It has gone free to play. If you purchase the game in the past, you get to keep everything that you have unlocked. So any character you've progressed to, all the monsters you have unlocked, all of your skins, all of that stuff. You get to keep all that stuff. They give you 3,000, I forget what the in-game currency is called. It's just 3,000 coins. They give you 3,000 coins starting off, which is enough to buy one character that if you paid for the game, you probably already have unlocked anyways.
Yeah.
So, you can buy some of the new skins or something if you wanted them. And then that's it. Compared to the
people that bought that game are kind of pissed.
Oh yeah, they're really pissed. And I mean, understandably so.
Yeah.
Because they took away one of the game modes. It's not unlocked until level 20. And everyone, regardless of whether or not you paid for the game, is reset to level 1. So one of the game modes is completely locked away until level 20. I think one of the game modes is also completely gone. And the only mode left is Monster Hunt, which is kind of the standard mode anyways. Supposedly they've made tweaks to the game design to speed games up. I haven't noticed that. Or maybe, I'm not sure, maybe I have. Every game goes one of two ways. It lasts for 5 minutes, and the hunters kill the monsters, or kill the monster. Or it lasts for 25 minutes. You chase the monster around for forever. It evolves to its maximum level and then comes and kills you. Or when it destroys the objective.
Yeah, which was my big problem with Evolve to begin with. I did play the alpha of it.
Yeah.
And I just didn't care for it.
Yeah, I played it during the beta, open beta. And same thing. It doesn't feel any different at all. Supposedly they've changed several of the maps around. I didn't play the beta enough to really be able to notice that difference. Maybe they have. regardless, they didn't fix the problem of it taking forever to, games either lasting almost no time at all because you get a crappy monster, or they last forever because you get a good monster and then you lose. At this point in time, there's still no cash shop. That hasn't been implemented yet. So the only way to level up is to play matches and get coins, which takes forever to get coins. And everything, I feel, is way too overpriced. Most skins are like 1,000 coins, which I have no idea how much that's going to translate to in real-world dollars. But in the time that I've played this game for about 3 hours-ish, give or take. I earned 1,500 coins, which is not even enough to purchase a character. The cheapest characters are around 3,000 coins, and there's certain characters that are up to like 5,000 or 6,000 coins. Like a dummy, I forgot to check what the monsters cost, so I don't know how much they cost. But I'd imagine that they cost the same as like the high-level hunters, so somewhere around 6,000 coins. Could be wrong on that, though. That's just kind of me, because that was silly of me, but whatever. Regardless, it takes way too long to earn money, which now that this game is free to play, that's fine. If they want to make the game more grindy, so be it. Most free-to-play games do that anyways. They do have daily bonuses, which kind of fall in line of every other free-to-play game you've always played. You've got a chance to win some of the currency.
Yeah.
You've got a chance to win, bonuses of some sort.
I'm reading the reviews. People are complaining less maps, less modes, less language options, which is strange. Remove the story mode, which that's probably the mode that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of complaints about the free-to-play system and just it not changing the game at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly the same game, at least from my perspective. It feels like exactly the same game that you can now just play for free instead of having to pay money for it. I don't know if their numbers have held up. When it first went free-to-play, it went...
It's actually improved for when they first went free-to-play.
Oh, it's gone up even more?
Last time I checked.
Wow. Yeah, it was in the top 10 of the Steam's most played games over the weekend. One news article said that its user base increased by 25,000%. But, I mean, whenever you go from like 80 people, that's,
yeah.
Duh.
Let's see. 24-hour peak is 44,000 people.
I mean, that's
All-time
up there.
peak is 51,000, which was during the paid release, I believe.
I was going to say, that's probably the launch. So, I mean, this has breathed new life into the game, but if they're going to keep it going, they're going to have to do something else. If, the way I feel about this game is if you were interested in Evolve before, but you didn't want to play it because there were no players or because you thought it was too expensive for what you got, now's your chance to go play it. If you weren't really interested in Evolve before, this has not changed anything in any way that would make you want to come play it, and it might have made it worse. Because at least when you bought the game, you got access to a lot more stuff right off the bat. It's not bad. It's pretty average, which is how I felt about it when I played it in beta. I might play it some more. I doubt it, but I might.
Evolve is exactly the definition of hype.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very...
not a good way.
If we gave scores, if I believed in actual numbered scores, this would be my definition of a 5. It is completely middle of the road. Wow, that's terrible. It's completely middle of the road average.
Oh, you're using the actual 5 and not the video game 5.
Yes. It is the most video game. Like, it's just like, I am a video game.
Let me go find that image while you chatter away. Hang on.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's just the most video game I've ever played. So, if you were interested in it, if you like the setting or the aesthetic or whatever, now's your chance. But if you didn't really care about it before, you still won't care about it.
Yeah, which is why I decided to play Stick of Truth instead of this.
Yeah. Was the image you were going to look up or whatever related to this, or can I move on?
No, it's not related to this.
Okay. So next on my list is Train Fever.
Again.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm actually going to chase down all the achievements because it takes like 30 hours to play through from start to finish a game. But I'm definitely going to finish up an American game, which is what I've been doing. I'm in like the year 1920. So, I've just been playing it in my little bit of free time this week. All right, let's check out this image. Modern review scale. 1 to like a 7.7. Shit sucks. That to a 9 average. Good. So like 9 to 9.5 good. Really great. A really good, great, amazing, outstanding, incredible, possibly game of the year.
Within the top 5.5% of 9.
Yeah. And then 80s, 90s, early 2000s review scale.
Shit sucks 1 to 2. Bad 2 to 3. Mediocre 3 to 4. Average 4 to 6. Good 6 to 7. Really good 7 to 7.5. Great 7.5 to 8. Possibly game of the year from 8 to 10. Amazing from 8 to about 9.25. And incredible above that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the definition of a 5 in my book. It's just so average.
Yeah, what are you, from the past?
No, I'm someone who's not a moron.
Oh, so you're not Wheatley.
No. No. I was just listening to Miracle of Sounds. Wheatley
So you're
song.
super astute?
Mm-hmm. I'm super astute. You fostered balloon. Anyways, so yeah, Train Fever. I'm just going to keep plugging away at it until I finish an American game, and then we'll see how I feel with it. But I'm starting to, basically I keep coming back to it now, okay, I should probably take a break. I should probably take a break from this. But I'm just I've got to finish it. Otherwise, if I take a break...
You're like the little engine that could.
Choo-choo.
Motherfucker, I'm a train.
I know that if I come back to it, though, that I won't remember what I was doing, and I'll have to start over. So I just want to finish an American game, and then... this is probably the last week I'm going to talk about it. Even if I keep playing it, there's really nothing else for me to talk about except, I'm doing the challenges and getting all the achievables. Because for some reason I'm hooked on the achievements in this game. And if Factorio's achievements have unlocked, I'll go and try and get all of those except for the one for beating the game in 2 hours because I don't know how that's possible. But, that's Train Fever. Last game on my list is War Thunder. You brought this up last week, and I was like, yeah, I've played the launcher. But I've played a decent amount of War Thunder since we recorded last week. We streamed it Wednesday. I played it and did some recording in it on, Thursday or maybe Friday.
And Saturday.
And then we recorded it Saturday, and I've played it a little bit since then. It's fun. I like it way better than World of Tanks and World of Warplanes.
Yeah, granted, I can't really compare it to World of Tanks. It's more of a flight sim to me, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. The World of games use a hit point system. You see that from World of Warships. It's the same in all of their games. So in World of Tanks, you don't get things like crew kills and stuff like that. You just have an HP system that you have to take down to 0. Which means that sometimes things happen that don't make any sense at all. Because it's I completely destroyed everything on that tank, but it has 5 health left, so it's not actually dead. And in War Thunder, if you penetrate a tank, you're probably going to kill crew, which is going to affect the tank. And if you kill enough of the crew or the right crew members, the tank is dead, even if it's still functionally operational, because you've killed the crew. There's no hit points. You can be continually damaged by machine gun fire or whatever, and eventually, they might get a lucky hit that goes through a viewport or something like that, or maybe
or you just annoy him long enough for a teammate to kill him, like I did. Yeah. Which was hilarious.
Yeah, but in World of Tanks, unless you're just shooting something that's so tiny that everything is just a ricochet, eventually the teeniest, tiniest tank could blow up the biggest, toughest tank, doing 5 damage at a time because it uses a hit point system. So, plus the tanks handle a lot better in War Thunder than in World of Tanks. In War Thunder, the tanks have weight and they slide around and And
Drifto!
they don't drift very well. They spin out really well. But in World of Tanks, it's a lot more arcadey, so they just kind of drive around. And they get bogged down if you drive in like heavy mud or snow or something. But I don't know, World of Tanks just feels better. I've never driven a tank, so I don't know which model is actually the correct one. But War Thunder makes more sense to me. Like, I just feel like this is what driving a tank would be more like than World of Tanks. And then on the plane side of things, World of Warplanes is just stupid. Its controls don't work properly unless you've got a flight stick. And I do have a flight stick, but I usually don't get it out and sit it on top of my desk because it just gets in the way and all that jazz. So War Thunder plays really well with a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, I was actually surprised how well it played.
And they've done some really nice intuitive things with the camera and the controls to assist you so that you don't get quite so disoriented using a mouse, and everything works a little more. I don't know, it just works really smoothly. Plus, all the damage modeling stuff still applies in the plane mode.
Yeah, you could lose your pilot very easily in some planes.
Yeah. World of Warplanes has got some of that. I mean, you can get specific parts of your plane shot off, but nowhere near to the extent that War Thunder does.
Yeah, this is even in arcade mode.
Yeah.
It gets more realistic, which is just amazing to me.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine having ammo counts. Because you think,
Ammo
I've
counts,
got 1,000
fuel count.
rounds.
Well,
it's like it's gone.
Well, it has
30
fuel
seconds.
count in arcade mode as well, but it's a lot more stringent. And you don't want to take in a huge amount of fuel to begin with, because it weighs down your plane.
More fuel means more weight, which means less maneuverability and speed. So I really like War Thunder. I intend to keep playing it. Probably do some.
Yeah, I think we're going to go back to Terraria next week.
Yeah, we should. I just needed a little break last week.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, well, we talked about this off screen, but probably should say it here in case, somebody's listening to this and watches our Terraria stuff. We're kind of at the boring part where we're just gearing up. We have a few things that we can do, but it's more just setting up to go to hard mode. Like, I need to build the obsidian generator, or I should say expand it to include honey, which is just adding a new chamber to it. Well, actually, 2 new chambers. And filling those, one of which will take forever to load. Actually getting more beehives, which I did find out that beehives are counted as a mini biome, so there should be more on the map. In theory. Granted, our world gen has kind of screwed us in the past, so I wouldn't hold my breath on that.
Yeah, and it took us forever to find that honey biome anyways. Or the beehive biome.
Yeah, well, I think it would be a lot faster if we go from the top down. Because we were kind of going at it, the hard way, going from bottom to top.
That's true.
But it's really just, setting up for hard mode and trying to get to the point where we could kill the wall of flesh, which would require a lot of remodeling and hell. Some redecorating.
Yeah, well, we can redecorate hell.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Saddam Hussein will approve.
I do get that reference from Southpark. I do, I get that.
The Southpark movie just took it to the extreme on that. Or do you remember that part?
I don't remember that part.
Well, let's just put it this way. They cut to black, and it sounds like a boot stuck in mud.
Oh. Ew. All right.
I actually grossed you out on that one.
All
Goodbye,
right.
clean rating.
Moving swiftly on from that.
Yeah, well, I think I'm going to take my coffee break.
Okay.
Or
That's
probably
fine.
my first one.
That is fine. I will go and feed Katie's bunny. And on to our first news topic. Westboro Baptist Church is fighting with Pokemon Go players over their gym, which actually is the church.
Yeah, this is just hilarious to me, which is part of the reason why it's here.
Yeah, really, that's the only reason.
And Pokemon Go is everywhere right now.
Yeah. Whoops, that's the actual Google Play link for Pokemon Go. I meant to pull up the news article.
Normally, I would say, don't bait these guys, don't feed the trolls. But honestly, Westboro Baptist Church, they get so much media attention anyway that, ignoring them does nothing.
Yeah. So,
And honestly, this is the perfect Activision against them. Activision.
You must be sicker than you're letting on.
Activism against them. In that it's nonviolent, it's funny, it paints them in a hilarious light, and it causes them to waste time, which I think is the more important thing here.
Yeah.
Because at least one member of this church has to spend time in Pokemon Go, or at least spend money in Pokemon Go, which would be even funnier. To get, of all Pokemons, a Jigglypuff, because that is the most butch character in Pokemon, stable of Pokemon, right?
Absolutely. I think it's the most gender-rolled Pokemon, because it's a pink, fluffy girl Pokemon, female Pokemon, who likes to sing.
Well, if there are boy Jigglypuffs.
They are, but Jigglypuff
technically
is generally thought of as a female Pokemon. But, I mean, this article is just... It's fun. It's funny all the way down, and then you get to the bottom, and they were fighting back, the Westboro Baptist Church, and their slogan was "Pokemon Go and sin no more." That's what the Lord Jesus Christ said. And I got to that point, and I just started laughing so hard, and I was like, "Okay, this has to be a news topic for the week."
Well, I started chuckling whenever I read that they named their. I think they planned on naming their Jigglypuff "Repent or Perish." And I'm just imagining a Jigglypuff, puffed up, carrying a sign like that. it just got me laughing.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think this is the best way to just keep them busy. Because there's someone in that church. That is a very small church, by the way. The media attention for them makes it sound like they're this huge movement. It's practically this one very, very bigoted, and I'm going to say probably closeted family that runs this church with a few outliers. And that's it.
Yeah.
So keeping a couple members of that church busy on something stupid like this is perfect.
Oh my gosh, 8 hours ago. I'm now on their Twitter.
Oh God.
8 hours ago, they posted a tweet, and it's a GIF of a whole bunch of... Oh, excuse me, it's a Vine. It's a whole bunch of Pokemon cards that someone has photoshopped different Westboro Baptist Church signs on.
Uh-huh.
It looks stupid, and it's funny. Oh, poor Pikachu. Having to hold that sign.
Well, being the mascot isn't all fun and games. Sometimes you get pulled into stupid shit like this.
Yeah. This is funny. So who's ready to battle this day? I'm sorry. We said this was going to be a really short topic. So, I mean, this is funny. Just follow the link.
Yeah, it's more just poking fun at them and loving that somebody's wasting their time. Or at least several people. Because there are a lot of people in that area that do not enjoy that church is there. For some strange reason. Can't imagine why.
Yeah, I can't imagine why you'd hate that, living close to that place. But yeah, just go check out the article. It's hilarious. And then maybe go head over to their Twitter and avoid the stuff that's really racist and bigoted, and look for the silly Pokemon pictures.
Which is 99% of it.
Well, even the Pokemon pictures are really racist and bigoted, but, at least they're funny. This one's not too bad. It just says believe in the Lord Jesus. That's not too bad.
What's always fun is, I hate painting with a wide brush, well, usually, but a lot of these churches that are very, very racist, very, very homophobic, aren't exactly the brightest of groups.
No, usually not the brightest, and usually not the youngest.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember what it was, but there was a church it was Westboro Baptist, I'm pretty sure, protesting that Ireland was accepting gay rights or gay marriage, but they got the wrong flag. So they were holding up a different flag upside down. Oh, I can't remember what the country was.
Would it be the Mexican? I mean, I don't know.
It wasn't Mexican. There wasn't anything in the middle of it. It was, a three color flag, and I'm pretty sure it was Ireland. But It, if I cared enough, I would go look it up because it was hilarious. But it kind of emphasizes the point that these groups, not the brightest out there to begin with. And here's the thing. I'm probably going to get a little political here.
Oh, boy.
But the thing is, Westboro Baptist Church, about you fighting gay rights, you've lost. In this country, you have lost.
Indeed.
I mean, cut and dry.
Praise the sweet baby Jesus for that fact.
I mean, can you really say that outside of very, very small pockets, usually in the very deep south, I might add,
yeah,
being gay won't get you killed? Granted, there are old people that will still look at you kind of funny if you're holding hands with another guy like that, or holding hands with another girl. I shouldn't be sexist like that.
Yeah, don't be so sexist.
But usually when you talk about gay, it's two guys. So, even though that is a kind of a catch-all term in general, but they've lost. They're fighting literally. Here's the perfect analogy. Have you ever heard the stories of that one lone Japanese soldier after World War II still fighting the war?
Yeah.
Because he did get the note that, Japan has surrendered and, the war's over. That's the Westboro Baptist Church. They're that lone Japanese soldier in, the 50s fighting still, not realizing the war's over and they lost. There's my political statement for the day. At least for now.
So, okay, flags of the world. The Irish flag is incredibly similar to the Italian flag.
I think that may have been it.
Because the Irish flag is green, white, and orange, and the Italian flag is green, white, and red. And
I do know that there was nothing in the middle of it, and it was a three-color flag, and I can't remember what the other country was. I do remember it was Ireland to begin with.
Well, there's
several... Or
several...
it may have been, they were protesting another country, and they got the Irish flag. I may have gotten that backwards, but I do remember the Irish flag was involved.
Yeah, there's a few flags that I could see someone, making an honest act, Still, there's no excuse. You should double-check things. But there's a couple flags here on this list that I could go, okay, yeah, I could see how you could mess that up. But, yeah.
Yeah, but if you're going to be on the news with your protest, which, let's be perfectly honest, when these groups do their stupid protest, at least the local news is going to pay attention to them. Assuming that they don't get run out of town immediately by, the local biker group or someone, which is always fun.
A pack of school children.
But you're going to at least want to double check that.
Yeah, you probably should do that. Okay, I think we've spent enough time talking about the Westboro Baptist Church. At
least for now.
Let's go talk about Rocket League and them adding a crate system. The system is similar to CSGO.
Well, this is a two-pronged story.
Right. Well, I was gonna lead into it
ahead.
and then go to that. Yeah. So yeah, their system is all like CSGO's with crates and keys, but they are not going to be using the Steam storefront to sell the crates and the keys like CSGO does, because they specifically said they don't want, they've seen what's happened with this whole Counter-Strike Go gambling fiasco, and they said specifically we don't want that to happen. So they're keeping all of that completely within the Rocket League game infrastructure.
Now, which, considering Rocket League as a multi-platform game to begin with, I can understand this.
Yeah.
But they're talking about gambling concerns, but they're adding in literally a gambling system with the crate system to begin with.
Yeah.
Because if this is like the TF2 crate system, which they equated it to, it is gambling. No matter if you're using the loophole, well, technically it doesn't have monetary value. Bullshit. You're buying keys. There's a monetary value attached.
Yeah. I'm okay. Okay, so Rocket League is...
It's still a premium game. It's a $15 game right now, I believe.
Yeah, but it's practically free to play. It's so cheap on sales, and it's been free multiple times on PS4, and
It was free once, I believe. I don't think it's gone free again.
I thought it's been free a couple of times.
Not that I've only heard on its initial launch.
Okay.
Which is why it's been so popular, is that it had the player base installed because they went free.
Okay. Well, regardless, it's still cheap, so I would, I'm okay with microtransactions. Them wanting to support the game and make more money and stuff. That's fine. I'm cool with that. I just wish that it was just a straight up like, hey, you want to buy some car skins? You want to buy some, whatevers?
I'm far more okay with them having the cosmetic DLC than a crate system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because also, very recently, they made it where the loot system is a lot less generous than it used to be.
Yeah, I've not been
because they
getting
added in all the painted stuff, and you only get that every so often.
Yeah, I very rarely. I mean, I rarely get stuff. You get one thing for every level up now.
Yeah.
I don't know what it used to be, but
it used to be every game you got an item until you filled up your entire inventory.
Yeah, that sucks. Now it's every level.
Yeah.
And that takes a while. You get all the cars really quickly, but then after that, it's completely random as to what items you get, and only getting one per level. I mean, my customization options are extremely limited.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that limited, but yeah, they've severely limited the item drops to begin with. So adding in the crate system, it feels like a huge cash grab. And I feel a lot more comfortable with a shop where you're able to say, okay, I want this skin for the DeLorean, or this skin for the Merc, or this topper, or whatever.
Yeah.
Having a crate system where you're literally spinning a slot machine. I have opened crates in TF2, but it's not to get certain items. It's to support a patch or support the community people that made the items that are put into that crate. Because that's where this, whenever they're doing the community update, they split the open fees with the community people that put in the money, or put in the items, I should say. That I don't have a problem with, but to get certain items, it could get so stupidly rare that it is gambling.
Yeah.
It is just ludicrous just how rare some of these items are. I'm not even talking about unusuals. I'm talking about, just random normal items that can be upwards of 1 in 20 to even get that chance. And if they're using the modern TF2 crate system, where it has tiers, so you have the common tier, which is a certain percentage to get something out of that. Then the next tier up, which is a lower percentage, and then the next tier up, which is even lower. So you have to roll that tier, then you get an item out of that. Feels so scummy, which is disappointing to me because I liked the previous version of Rocket League's, how they funded it post-launch, just because they threw out some little DLC, some of it licensed, some of it not. But if you wanted to support them, there it is.
Yeah. I think that this sucks regardless if there's no way to get the crates and keys without having to purchase them. I assume it'll drop the crates and then you'll have to buy the keys.
Yeah, that's pretty much confirmed how they're going to do it.
So,
and it's probably going to be about $2.50 to open a crate.
And that really sucks. If you're, all the gambling stuff aside, and the best thing about that system is that you can get the stuff outside a game. So you can use your Steam wallet to get keys if you want them to, which you can acquire, money on your Steam wallet through selling trading cards and...
Yeah, which I'm idling right now.
I should be idling. But, so, that sucks because, no offense, Rocket League, but I don't want to spend any more money on you unless you've got some new car packs that come out that I find really compelling.
DLC car packs, I will admit, I'm probably the worst person to talk about this, just because I haven't bought any of the car packs. I was very, very tempted by the Back to the Future car pack, just because I'm a huge Back to the Future fan. If they ever reboot Back to the Future, you're going to hear me pissed off. You haven't heard me that pissed off. You will hear me enraged.
Like your namesake. But, if they came out with some cars that I found to be really compelling or interesting enough to pay for, absolutely, I'd buy those cars. And I probably would buy, if they had it, a pack that just unlocks all the cosmetics in the game. I'd probably spend $5 to unlock all the cosmetics. Because now that it's tied to the level system, there's, 100 different cosmetic items? Maybe more.
Something like that.
I don't know if I'll play the game long enough to get to level 100.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that I have spent the time to unlock those.
So, I would pay some money to just get everything so that I have the full range of customization options, because you guys have got some really cool stuff that I'd like to have.
Well, sorry, but you can't have my hat. Literally.
Yeah, the alpha hat. Or
the cheesy, golden, terribly written alpha hat.
I really, really want the heart. I want the heart antenna.
You want a heart on?
Do what?
You want a heart on your car?
Absolutely.
Don't have to censor that on YouTube, though.
But, I really want the heart antenna topper. I got a rose. That's pretty close. I repainted my cars pink. Or, well, as close to pink as I could get them.
Granted, one team that's very hard to do.
Yeah. It's actually harder to do for the red team. Because the blue team, you just pick kind of like a really light kind of pastel blue. And you go with pink, and then you just call it cotton candy. But the red team doesn't have a good pink base color. So. Have
you tried lightest red?
Yeah. I went with more of a magenta color. But regardless, we're getting into fashion territory. Fashion.
Which is fabulous.
Fabulous.
Which we just got banned by the Westboro Baptist Church. They're picketing outside.
But, I think that... I don't know. I think that it's overall a bad thing. But at the same time, I really like Rocket League, and I want the developers to make more games.
Yeah,
so
that's the thing.
I want them to have
this
money.
This is how post-launch development is funded these days. Which, as someone that grew up with gaming for, through the 90s and the 2000s, and the late 80s, I might add, it feels so foreign to me to just see, not even nickel and dime, but dollar to death. If these were a lot cheaper, I wouldn't have nearly as problem with it.
Yeah, if you could spend like $1 and get a pack of, 5 or 10 keys, I wouldn't be quite as upset about it. Because I'd probably spend, $5, get a few packs of keys, and just unlock the crates as I get them and be like, yay, cosmetics. But,
$2.50, that's a fairly decent game during a Steam sale.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at that cosmetic in a game that I play every so often, or a game that's going to sit in my backlog for ages. Wait, that's not a good analogy, is it? But yeah, it just feels like the microtransaction feels like micro should be in huge sarcasm quotes.
Yeah. All this talk of Rocket League, I went to go to Rocket League on Steam. I was going to open the store page, and absentmindedly I clicked play, so I'm waiting on it to load so I can close it. Nope, here we go. We're loading. All right, I'm out of it. I really should buy the
There's so much elevator music in this episode.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I should buy the soundtrack for this game. I really love the soundtrack for it. It's not very expensive. Like $10 to get both volumes of the soundtrack.
Yeah, which I don't know how many tracks are in the soundtrack.
Let's see if it tells me.
Volume they should have a cosmetic that if you get the soundtrack, you get like a CD on top of your car.
Oh, that'd be awesome. No, 8-track. On an 8-track.
Real
so
or real?
The soundtrack volume 1 has 11 songs on it. And volume 2 has got also 11 songs on it. So 22 songs for $10. That's not bad. Do we have anything else to say about this whole deal, though?
I'm not a huge fan of it. I just wish that another system would pop up that is a lot more consumer friendly, because I don't like the slot machine aspect. They addressed the whole gambling problem, which I don't think would be nearly as much of a problem in Rocket League. Then again, I could be wrong on that, just because Rocket League is also very popular.
Yeah.
But it's nowhere near CSGO. I mean, nowhere. CSGO's what, 2 times, 3 times as popular?
Yeah, CSGO's huge.
Stupidly huge. So, I don't think it would be as big a deal. But, they're wanting to avoid gambling, but they're putting in gambling.
Yeah.
It just seems weird.
Yep.
You know, I'm not saying it's gambling, but it's gambling.
Yeah, they probably are, I mean, just doing a business maneuver. Oh, we're going to acknowledge that this really scummy gambling thing exists, and we're going to condemn it and not do it. By the way, here's our in-game gambling mechanic.
Yeah. I just wish a new system would pop up that's more consumer-friendly.
Yeah.
But I have no idea what it would be. That's the thing. Even if they just cut the price of the keys, that would be, where it's down in more of the impulse buy. Oh, I got a crate and I can open it for $1 or, like 50 cents. Granted, then they're looking at more volume, trying to get, instead of having maybe 20 cosmetics, they need 100 or 150. Which, are they going to make it add up in volume? Probably not.
I really liked the way that Clash Royale did its system with that. I hated waiting on my treasure chests to open. And, I mean, that's a good incentive to get people to pay money to get keys or whatever to instantly open the chests. But say, you could get 1 at a time, 2 at a time. I don't know how many would be a good number. But you get that many number of crates at a time. And it takes 12, 24 hours, something like that, to open a crate.
I just had an idea.
You can only open one at once.
What if they had a microtransaction that makes your account premium, which allows you to open 2 at a time?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Or you could pay, microtransactions to just open crates immediately.
Yeah. Of course, wouldn't call it premium. You would call it like booster or something, where you're opening more than 1 at a time, but make that very expensive, so it's incentivizing, the impulse buy of, I don't want to wait 20 hours.
I also would be more forgiving of this if Rocket League just went completely free to play. That's the thing. That's,
Yeah, this is a free to play model.
Yeah, if you pay...
TF2 went free to play about a year after they instituted this model.
Yeah.
But CSGO isn't free to play, and it's still the same price as Rocket League.
Yeah. I'm much more forgiving on these mechanics in games that don't cost me anything to play. Because...
Or that are cheaper, that are down in that impulse buy area, not counting Steam sales.
Yeah, because that, the psychological kind of bombardment that you have to withstand is your payment for playing the game. And if you lose and you pay them money, then you've paid for it. And if you win, then you get to keep playing the game for free, but you have to keep suffering, all of their constant whatever their system is. Like, that's your payment for for playing a free to play game. If I pay money for a game up past around a couple of dollars, I don't want that constant bombardment.
Okay, how about this? I just thought of a post-launch incentive or model to get some extra money for the developer that actually fits with Rocket League.
Okay.
Unintrusive ads in the arena. It makes sense in sports games to have those.
Yes, that's amazing. Actually, that's a good idea.
And I'm not talking, huge flashing ones. I'm talking like, maybe an AMD sign on the side of the arena. Or, something like that.
That would be great. There's been games that have done that. That fits it.
Yeah, Burnout Paradise actually did that.
Yeah,
that's the first one that popped in my head.
One of the Need for Speed games does it.
They had billboards throughout the map that had ads that would swap out, while the servers are still active. Now I think they're pretty much static, but, and you actually had incentive to ram those ads. It was part of an objective. So you would see the ads, full screen, as you plowed through them, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, that would work really well with Rocket League. I would be okay with that. As long as they, like you said, they're unobtrusive. I don't want ads on my loading screen. I want ads on the start menu.
And they do not play audio.
Yeah, no audio.
They're a static image, maybe a very simple animation. But for sports games, at least in the United States, I should say. I'm not sure how it is overseas, but ads are everywhere in sports stadiums. So for ads to appear in Rocket League would make sense. But of course, that also requires them to redesign the arenas to have that ad space, so that would cost them money.
Yeah. Well, we just solved the problem, and they're not going to do it.
No, too busy making keys.
Yep.
Why make deals with other companies when you can just have kids playing the slot machine? You know, I imagine that at some point in probably the not too distant future, at least the U.S. government is going to come down hard on these crate systems. Because the whole thing with CSGO has gotten a lot of attention.
Yes, it has.
And it has pissed off a lot of parents because CSGO is very popular with the teenage crowd who are not allowed to gamble. And they will see this slot machine aspect. And it literally looks like a slot machine. A single real slot machine, granted, but a slot machine nonetheless. They will see this and think, why is my kid playing a slot machine? And they will go to their lawmakers. And these lawmakers will come down hard on crate systems. And I think games that rely on these crate systems for their bread and butter is going to be in a tough time in a few years when government slowly wakes up and realizes there's something to regulate here.
Yeah, I do hope that...
And granted, I want to say, I am not calling for regulation. I do think there needs to be some oversight, but I don't think it's the government that needs to do it. But, it's going to happen. Mark my words.
Yeah, I want that, I want this to be folded somehow into the gambling regulations. Like, if they're going to have the systems, they need to be regulated just like every other gambling entity is in the United States.
Yeah, because there's no odds posted anywhere for these crates. The only way you get odds is people spending thousands of dollars opening crates and making a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Or compiling, crowdsourcing, people opening crates, which is not its exact science because, people can lie.
Yeah.
So I think there should at least be posted odds. At the very least, I think that's a common courtesy for any crate system.
Yeah. I would love to see actually odds, charts or whatever posted somewhere. That would be helpful. I mean, it doesn't fix the problem, but it would be helpful.
Yeah. Information is never a bad thing. And I'm probably going to get somebody writing in to counteract that one, but what the hell?
Nah, information is never a bad thing. I'm with you on that one. All right, are we ready to move on?
Yeah, I think we beat that one to death.
Yep, are we ready to move on to another news topic? We're going to beat firmly into the ground. Warner Brothers is fined by the FTC over Shadows of Mordor paid promotion. This was, the promotion happened, was it 2 years ago or was it
2014.
Last year? So yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah, and Warner Brothers, what the fuck are you thinking?
They don't.
I mean, look.
They just don't.
Shadows of Mordor did not need this bullshit. And to clarify on what exactly they're getting fined for. They're getting fined for deceptive marketing, basically telling YouTubers that they gave thousands or tens of thousands, mostly in big YouTubers, PewDiePie level YouTubers, to make reviews, in sarcastic quotes, of their game, or play it pre-release, but they had to sign a huge non-disclosure agreement, mostly revolving around they had to show the game in a positive light, and they could not show any bugs with the game. And for Shadows of Mordor, they didn't need to do this. It was a good game, and it's still a good game. Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Okay, you sound good again.
I don't know what happened. I didn't have anything going or anything. I guess either Skype decided it was going to take a nap or my internet crapped out for a second.
All the Pokemon Go players.
Yeah, all the Pokemon Go players messed up my network. This is going to be a fun one to edit.
Yeah, sorry I wanted to do this.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll just have to actually go
I'm crazy, what can I say?
I'll have to pick my way through this one instead of the normal way that I do it.
Sorry.
There's no point in making notes because there's so many times I'm going to have to stop. It's fine, though. It's fine. No need to apologize.
You're just going to hate me.
Nah.
Well, the plus side, me being sick, I've sat down and made a list of words while high on cough syrup.
Fun times. Okay, so where were we?
We were talking about how Shadows of Mordor didn't need this.
It's a good game. I own it. I've played it quite a bit. I have enjoyed my time with it. I haven't beaten it. I probably should go back and do that, actually. But, I mean, I've really enjoyed my time in it. So, I mean, it didn't need forced positivity.
Yeah.
Basically. But Warner Brothers, I don't know, if wanted to stack the deck in their favor, I guess, or they didn't trust the developers to have made a good game.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Here's where my rate's going to come in.
Okay.
Publishers trust in a good fucking game. The problem with publishers these days is that they don't care about what they're putting out. They're caring more about their bottom line than putting out a good product. See, well, using Warner Brothers as a perfect example, Arkham Knight on PC. The first AAA game to come out under the Steam refund system, and it was fucking pulled from the store because it was so atrocious of a port. Granted, that wasn't Warner Brothers that did the port, that was them potting it off to a third party, but they had final say when that game went out, and they put it out anyway, because they saw that any possible losses that they would make, granted, I don't think they accounted for Steam refunds because that went out like a few days before Arkham Knight went out live, if I recall correctly. I may be wrong on my timing there. They saw that their best course of action was to put out a literally broken game than to spend the time to fix it. Publishers trust in making a good product, and gamers will support you. You don't need bullshit tactics like this. You don't need to buy off PewDiePie, who has been shown, I might add, doesn't push nearly as many sales as someone much smaller like Total Biscuit, whose audience is actively looking for games to buy. PewDiePie, while several times larger than Total Biscuit, doesn't push nearly the sales figures just because he's an entertainer and not a full critic and people who have their audience looking for games to buy. Just trust in your product. Don't make your game a modern DLC fest. See Evolve, because we saw just how much that worked out for them. Oh wait, they just went free to play. Don't do shitty pre-order bullshit. Don't do physical retailer exclusive pre-order bullshit, where if you want the full game or all of the cosmetics, you have to buy the game 4 or 5 times in some cases. Trust in your game and stop fucking over your consumer, because sooner or later it will bite you in the ass. We've seen how Call of Duty is getting a lot lower pre-order numbers, and I think that's partly because people are waking up to these practices, and they're tired of getting fucked. And you've been very quiet during this.
Tell me how you really feel.
Can you tell I've had a little bit of cough syrup?
I can tell you've had some cough syrup and some time to think about this.
Oh yeah, when I saw this, I thought of this quite a bit. But here's the problem. Any fine the FTC is going to put out is not going to be enough to discourage this, because Warner Brothers will just see this as a price of doing business. This is something that we see in a lot of shady bullshit out there, where any fines that are levied for breaking the law or, skirting the law is just written off as a price of doing business, because the profits for doing so outweighs anything that fine can levy.
Yeah. Well, okay. So about your whole rant, I don't really have anything else to add to that because I agree with you. So,
Agree-a-thon.
#agree-a-thon.
And that's probably, that's actually the reason why I wanted this story, was my rant.
Also about what you just said about, any fines that they could levy would be outweighed by the profits of these shady business practices.
Yeah.
I also agree with you there, but I don't know how to fix it.
Outside of just putting in bigger fines, which I'm not sure if that's the answer.
Yeah.
Because it just makes them want to be shadier.
Yeah, and I mean, you could say, I could suggest, well, they should just regulate it more. But then, you start...
Yeah, well...
I mean, I know it's a slippery slope logical fallacy, but we have seen what happens whenever governments fully regulate the entertainment, specifically the gaming industry. I mean, look at Australia and Germany, places where that is done, and they have huge problems that come from it, and things like this still happen and affect them there. So I don't think that that's the solution, but I don't know what to do because, the only thing they can do is just levy larger and larger fines. And I suppose eventually the risk would outweigh the reward, but then that really could hit small developers too in a bad way if someone decides to, I don't know, blow something out of proportion or try and use the system to their advantage to maybe take out a competitor or something, report them and get the whole process started. And it's like, oh, you have to pay, I don't know, $1 billion. And it's like, what small company has $1 billion,
There's a fine line between these punishments being big enough to actually dissuade this, and it being just a death blow for anything except for the biggest of publishers. And there's really no way of really saying, okay, it should be X amount, because for some people that would be an absolute death blow. For others, it would be, I made more in profits than that. This is a good deal.
They could do it as a percentage, because a percentage.
Yeah, but then how do you calculate that? That's the problem.
Well, I mean, you could say, I don't know, maybe 25 or 30% of your, and this is just a random thought, of your quarterly income. Almost,
but for someone like Warner Brothers, okay, so it's a subdivision of a larger company. So where do you draw the line there? It's only thing this is going to do is cause some of these shady developers or shady publishers. I should really use the word developers here because it's usually publisher bullshit. It's going to cause these shady publishers to just split further and further. Because, okay, I'm not going to call Rockstar shady, but okay, let's say Rockstar did something like this for GTA 6, if they ever stop building GTA Online. Okay, Rockstar, let's say North. I have no idea which Rockstar does GTA. I can't remember off the top of my head and really don't care. Rockstar North puts out the next GTA game, and they pulled this same thing. Well, by saying it's a percentage of that publisher's take, well, you're only looking at one small portion of Rockstar, which is Rockstar is essentially association of different Rockstar developers. So you're going to run into that problem if you're doing a percentage.
You could just go after the parent company. That would eliminate that problem.
Then you start causing some casualties completely unassociated with it. Because if we take it back to Warner Brothers, okay, you just hit Warner Brothers Movies, who has really nothing to do with what they're getting fined for, which is really unfair.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I don't know. There's not a good solution, or if there is, we haven't thought of it yet. Regardless, I am glad that Warner Brothers is being fined for this, because this is like some really, shady stuff. And
yeah,
I think
but
that
it being 2 years after the fact, a lot of people are going to be, oh, really? And just write it off. They're not even going to pay attention to it.
Well, it's probably taken 2 years to get it all legally handled.
Yeah, which government moves very, very slowly. And sometimes when it wakes up, you don't want it to wake up.
So, have we drove Warner Brothers into the ground enough?
I think so. I mean, I had my rant, which is what I really wanted to do to begin with.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You got it out. You feel better? Is your cold all gone?
No, it's still there, but I have had a little bit of cough syrup, which I probably should have beforehand, but I didn't want to get drunk, at least at the beginning of the show. So, there we go.
All right, so now that we've had our news topics and our meanderings, which I'm sure we'll cut into at some point, let's move to our slightly small community corner for the week. We received...
Yeah, there was no letters, which, if you do want to send us a letter, you don't have to be Kyle or Chemist to be able to do so. You can do it to vglpodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. You can send us any of your thoughts or criticisms about the show, things for us to talk about, a few potential topics, or you could tell us a story, or you could just type a nonsense letter out that's really whatever.
Oh, don't they need to attach a video of them spinning in their chair to do that?
I'll imagine. Just describe what you look like, or what you want me to think that you look like. But as the keeper of our tweets, it falls to you this week to prop up Community Corner.
Oh, my. Well, we did have the question of the week. Will you try free-to-play Evolve? I'm kidding that, but you did dissuade Andrew Mason from playing it.
I did. It's really not all that great. It's really not.
Yeah, I'm going to cut that short. And he said, thanks, that'll save me some time.
Yeah, it'll save your data cap, too. It's a 17 gigabyte download.
Yeah. And Groove said, I think I'll try it as I never played it. And that was really all for the question this week.
All right.
And on to tweets. Kyle, I controlled, do you want a still frame or comic fan art? And I don't recall talking about fan art, do you?
Vaguely. I know we mentioned...
Granted, I am a little drunk now on cough syrup, and I have been sick, so that's my excuse.
I know we talked about it, but I don't remember what we...
The context?
Yeah. Yeah, I listened to a lot of this.
But we do know Kyle really can draw also. I'm going to leave that up to him.
Yeah.
Granted, he has no idea what the hell I look at like.
I don't know what you look like.
Well, right now, just imagine a very red nose from how much I've been blowing it.
Yeah, you blow it. Wink.
Oh, my. Actually, that sounds a lot better with my fucked up voice.
Yes, it does.
Oh, my.
Oh, I got the tingles. I really did just get a tingle then.
Do you need some time?
Alone with you? Absolutely.
I think I need an adult.
Yes, I broke him. All right.
Actually, let's see how that sounds after equalization and everything. Oh, it's going to be so much fun to see what my post-audio work does to my voice. Because it's keyed to my normal speaking voice. And my voice right now is a lot deeper than it usually is. And rougher.
Yeah, but you'll still be gentle. Wink.
Oh, my, once again. Shall we continue on with tweets?
Please do.
Chemist, in response to the picture I tweeted out of his microphone, said the guys every week who complain about how people find their stuff too long before the 15-minute mark. Humble brag.
That's definitely an obligatory wink.
Which, if you didn't see how he had his microphone set up, well, he could only be so erect. I mean, we both went to the same place with that when we saw that picture, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's the meme. Well, I can't think of the actor's name, but it's Mac from Night Court. He sets up and says, "That's a penis." And then there's the counter where he says, "That's a penis," and then just leans back and smiles. The same clip played in reverse.
Yeah.
We both had that. Both of those. Okay, Kyle. No audio letter this week. Too busy to record, so I'll leave you with this. If you designed a game, what would the premise of it be? And I'm far too sick and uncreative to really think of anything. So I'm going to say I want to see a genre revived. The God game genre.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay, so if we designed a game, what would the premise be? Oh, man. That's I could go several different directions with that. Okay, if I designed a game, what would the premise would be? It would be.
Well, here's the problem: is that every premise I thought of until I gave up and went with God games. I did a quick search. It's like, well, fuck, that exists. Granted, it sucks, but it exists. Because I like the idea of like a sort of a game dev tycoon game style of managing an online guild in an MMO.
That exists.
Yeah. Oh, not well, but it exists.
Yeah.
Granted, I would want a lot more humor than what they put in that game. But, it's one of those things that there's no new ideas. There's only new takes on ideas.
Yeah. I think the thing that I would want to see the most if I was designing a game would be, what's the right way to say it? A continuation of Freelancer. I don't know if it would be like a spiritual successor.
Or would that be Star Citizen?
I don't think so. Star Citizen to me doesn't feel like Freelancer. I know the same people who worked on Freelancer are building Star Citizen, but they feel like two very different games. Freelancer is very, very, very story driven, whereas yes, Star Citizen has got the story portion, but it's mostly focused on the multiplayer portion of the game. Freelancer is probably my favorite, or in like the top 2 or 3 of my favorite games of all time.
Oh, did you ever play Wing Commander?
I did play Wing Commander.
I wouldn't mind seeing that come back.
But I'm
not sure. I think there was a talk of a Kickstarter for it at one point, but I'm not sure if it ever got off the ground.
Yeah. So, basically, like, a good portion of the games that I play and talk about frequently are me chasing the Freelancer experience. That's why I play the Starpoint Gemini series. It's the closest thing I've found to Freelancer since Freelancer. I've played a couple other games that are similar to Freelancer and claim to be, inspired by Freelancer and all of that jazz. So if I was going to build a game, that would, my serious premise would be building the next, Freelancer 2.
Yeah.
That's what I would be doing.
Yeah, what's the problem is there a market for a Freelancer 2 these days? Or has gaming kind of I hesitate to even use the word evolved, because honestly it feels like a lot of games are a lot more simple than what they were. But has gone past what they would what Freelancer 2 would offer.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't care. If I'm building the game, I just want it for me. But
yeah.
I think that the market out there still exists for it, but there's a lot. It's become a more niche thing, I think. If the market for it didn't exist, then games like Starpoint and Gemini wouldn't be successful, and games like Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen wouldn't exist because even though they're not exactly Freelancer, it's the same sort of idea: open world space, exploration with some story smattered in. Like those games wouldn't be popular if people didn't still want, something like, Freelancer-esque, something in that kind of space opera, space, combat trading, whatever you want to call it. Because Freelancer had tons and tons of stuff in it. It had all, it was just a big mishmash of all of those things. So, but there's a lot more to the games market than there was in, 2000. When did Freelancer come out? 2002, 2003?
Mm-hmm.
So, gaming has, I think the best way to say it is, rather than evolved, has diversified.
Yeah.
So,
the barrier to entry for gaming these days is a lot lower.
Yeah.
For both good and ill. And yes, I know. It probably sounds very jerkish to say for ill with that, but I'm just looking at some of the modern games, modern entries to game series that I loved, and they feel so stripped down compared to the older versions. Particularly games like the Elder Scrolls series.
Yeah. Elder Scrolls and Fallout has suffered from that.
Yeah, which, after the honeymoon period is gone with Fallout, there's been a lot of people complaining about Fallout 4.
I still like Fallout 4. Once I get to 480, I'm going to go back and play it some more. Because the 750 just really struggled to run it at a nice, smooth 60, even with a lot of graphic settings turned down to medium or lower. You
didn't like the cinematic experience?
No, I don't like the cinematic experience. But, I still like Fallout 4. I like pretty much everything about that game except the dialogue system, which is very threadbare. But
yes, yes, no, which means yes, maybe, which means yes, investigate, which means yes.
Yeah. I do enjoy Skyrim. I think Skyrim is a fun game, but Oblivion is by far my favorite Elder Scrolls game. It hits the perfect...
for me, it's Morrowind, but I also spent the time with Morrowind, and I haven't gone back to it. If I went back to Morrowind, the combat system would probably take me out of it these days.
The combat system for Morrowind sucks.
Especially the opening level or two. Once you get past that, it's not nearly as bad, but all those first couple of levels are just murder.
I cut my teeth for the Elder Scrolls universe on Morrowind, so I have nostalgic memories that are really good with it, but I went back recently and tried to play it, and it's bad. As someone who doesn't struggle with the graphical problems, dealing with it not looking pretty, I don't care about that, but the combat system is awful, and it's a novel. There's a lot of rich storytelling in it, but it's the first few characters you talk to and making your character creation, not even out in the world yet. It's 20 minutes of reading if you want to go through the whole dialogue tree.
Yeah, Morrowind is from a completely different time now.
Yeah. But I love Oblivion because I feel like Oblivion strikes the right balance. They streamlined the combat system, made it so that it wasn't stupid at the early levels. It still had...
Granted, it was stupid at the higher levels.
Why do you say that?
Because of the scaled leveling system.
Oh, yeah.
Where you'd get bandits in glass armor annoying you for 25 gold. Where literally the armor that they're wearing is worth hundreds of times that.
Yeah. Well,
Actually, one of the main quests where... Oh, here's a spoiler. Where you go through one of the major Oblivion gates to shut it down. I know, there's a shocker. If you do it at high level, it is far, far tougher than if you went in level 1 or 2. Just because the demons would level up and you'd be facing a lot tougher demon types.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the scale leveling... The low level, it's... Oblivion by far outpaces Morrowind. But at high level, I would say Morrowind, as soon as you get past the initial levels and get a little bit of skill in your skills, boy, that's an odd phrase. That would only make sense in gaming. But once you get past that initial bump, I would say Morrowind's combat system is better. Just because it doesn't have the stupid scaled leveling.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of scaled leveling, but I do prefer. Even in the long run, after going back and playing both of them, I managed to stick in Morrowind for about a dozen hours, and I was like, okay, I just can't do this anymore. And then Oblivion.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on where you'd rather have the combat system suck.
Yeah, and
I haven't spent enough time in Skyrim to really know where or if it sucks there.
Skyrim's
honestly,
combat system...
Skyrim, I played it, and it just doesn't hold me like the other ones did.
Skyrim's combat system sucks at the high level, but for a completely different reason. It's from the lack of customizability. Because,
you need certain skills.
Yeah. Well, it's not only that. In Oblivion, you could make spells.
I saw that lacking in Skyrim. Granted, a friend got it for me for Christmas, I believe. I feel so terrible for not playing it more, but I just thought, okay, no spells that I could craft on my own without going to some heavy mods, and at the time those mods were questionable in how well they worked.
Yeah. Well, the magic system in Skyrim without modding is pretty underpowered.
Yeah.
The most effective class, if you're not going to mod, is to just go a straight-up brawler with, heavy armor and either dual-wielding weapons or using a two-handed weapon, because block is pretty ineffective in Skyrim, and then the magic system is pretty weak. I mean, if you mod it and make the magic system better, then the whole game feels a lot more balanced, but I don't know why it's got a weaker magic system out of the box. I mean, it's still possible to be a mage, but you have to
It's a lot tougher.
It's a lot tougher until the end game when you get enough points poured into your magic skills in order to make them really effective. But yeah, it suffers from lack of customization. I mean, basically, you pick a school of magic to go down, or any of the schools of magic really, and it's like, okay, for destruction magic, it's like I've got a touch spell for each of the damage types, a continuous damage spell, which is like flamethrower or lightning bolts, or, whatever, and then a ranged spell, because the continuous shooting doesn't have a lot of power or range, so a ranged spell, and then you get like traps, like little glyphs that you can place on the floor that basically explode with the damage type whenever an enemy runs over them, and that's it. You can mix it, since you can dual wield everything, you can mix and match two different spell types, but you're actually encouraged to not do that because there's a perk that gives you bonus spell damage for dual wielding two of the same spell,
which makes it very boring,
right? But unless you're playing with modded magic system, why wouldn't you pick that so that you can actually do real damage with magic? So yeah, the magic system in Skyrim is...
Yeah, you used to be able to do a lot of interesting things. Well, my experience with it is more Morrowind, where you had to build around some of the more powerful armor having some drawbacks that you had to be creative with avoiding.
Yeah.
Like the boots of blinding speed, for example.
I don't think I ever found those.
Oh, well,
Did they actually make you blind and then run really fast? Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it would completely blind you, but you'd be super fast. And the way to counteract it was to make a 1 second as high percentage of magic resist that you could on yourself. It would counteract some of the blindness, so it'd be, instead of blinding speed, it'd be nearsighted speed.
Well, I mean, that's how I live my life, nearsighted, so I can handle that. So, yeah, we got way off of that question.
Yeah, really.
Well,
so much for being a short episode.
Nah, we're still going short compared to other episodes. I mean, the recording's at 2:20, and there's going to be a lot that gets cut out for all of our breaks.
Yeah, my timer's just barely hitting 2 hours now.
Yeah, so what else do you got? How many other tweets?
Just a couple more.
Okay.
Kyle, once again, sure, I can guest host if you need me to, provided I'm not missing any given week. Well, we could have used you this week. Because I'm crazy, and I don't want to put out a frickin' episode if I'm living.
Yeah. Well, we've got two. That's what they're there for, but, we'll just hold on to both of them for the future.
What can I say? I want to record if I'm actually capable. And I'm technically capable this week.
Well, you've been capable so far.
Oh, my. And finally we have Chemist. No input from me this week. Too busy catching Weedles around town. There's a gym at a church nearby looking for a gay Clefairy to take over.
Oh,
Chemist,
amazing.
I love you.
Yes, I love you too. You should guest host sometime, Chemist. That might be a little weird, though, since you're in Europe and your time zone would be very different. Although that might make it easier because when we record, it's early morning.
Yeah, we're at stupid o'clock.
So
it's currently just shy of 1 a.m. local time.
Yeah. So, judging by...
Which, it's still stupid o'clock for him. At Zulu, it's just creeping up on 5 a.m. So, yeah.
But
yeah, Chemist, if... I wish you were closer to that gym to actually cause that, but that would be hilarious. But if anyone wants to email us, once again, that is vglpodcast@gmail.com or tweet us at vglpodcast on Twitter.
Yeah. So, time for Steam deal recommendation thingies.
Yep.
I've got 2 and you've got 2, so we'll just alternate.
All right.
You can go first.
Yeah, and I didn't copy these into the show notes for you.
Shame on you.
I forgot about it.
Shame on you. That's all right.
Well, I think you'll at least know this first one.
Okay. What is
Planet
it?
Base.
I do know that first one, yes.
Planet Base. What Space Base DF9 should have been. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. That's what it should have been. It is a base builder where you're building a habitat on various planets. Not really a lot to talk about just because it is a very simple concept. It's essentially, just your typical base builder, only you're dealing with space-related stuff. You're building airlocks and modding and spacesuits. There is some people that have been complaining about a lack of content in the late game, where you hit a point where it's pretty much just autopilot. But that's also a problem with most of these games in this genre.
Yeah.
It's just, how quickly you get to that point. And also, the random events that can happen are kind of bullshit because most of them revolve around either, at least from what I can tell on on the reviews I read, because I will admit I haven't played either of my picks this week.
Okay.
Either pirates coming in and trying to take over and you have your guards fight them off, or meteors come down to destroy part of your space station, or base, or whatever you want to call it. And that's really it. That's not a lot of variety from everything that I can tell on random event-wise. And your different difficulties are just, upping the chance of those events happening. I would love to see more variety and possibly some more late game, depending on how quickly you get to that, just autopilot phase. But overall, it's not a bad game. It's just I wish that there was more to it. But then again, I could say the same for Space Base DF9 very easily. It's normally $19.99. It's 30% off, so not a huge deal. But, the pickings were kind of weak this week anyway, which brings it down to $13.99.
Alrighty. Well, my first game is a game called Gunmetal. Gunmetal originally released all the way back in 2003 on Xbox, that is original Xbox, and it is a mech game where that you can transform between a mech and a jet, and it's a completely single-player story mode-based game, and as you go through the story, if you rank high enough, for example, in the levels, or complete like little mini challenge, bonus objectives or whatever, you unlock more and more parts and customization options for your mech, which allow you to obviously customize it for missions so that you can do better. It's not a looker, obviously.
I do have to admit, I like their developer's name.
What's the developer's name?
I'll make you go look for this.
Yeah.
Come on, it's not hard to find on the page.
Oh, Kiss Limited?
No, that's a publisher.
Oh,
developer.
Rage. Oh, Rage Software. Nice. So it's been probably a decade since I played this game. I have no idea.
I actually have this game, but I never really put time into it.
I have no idea how good, the PC port or remake.
It is rated mostly positive, and it does have trading cards, which brings the price down quite a bit.
Ooh, yeah. So I don't own it on Steam, but I played it way back when on the original Xbox, and I might buy it because it's 90% off from $9.99, so it's 99 cents.
Which Steam trading cards brings it down to probably about the 50% range.
Probably. So I'm down for that, yeah. All right, what's your next game?
Okay, my next game is Cargo Commander. You know how I love my roguelike games.
I almost picked Cargo Commander. Almost.
Yeah. Yeah, Cargo Commander is a roguelite platformer where you're a guy in a cargo ship just grabbing random cargo containers and going through them to get space junk, essentially. Procedurally generated. It is using the seed system, so if you type in a particular seed and you give it to a friend and give them that seed, they'll get the same level. So it has a bit of a competitive seed there if you want to, play against your friends. Say, oh, I found this really cool level. And, hand them the seed. But not a lot to talk about just because it, for one, I haven't played it. It's more just, secondhand knowledge of it. But it's an interesting looking game, and it is also on the cheap. It's normally $9.99, but 75% off right now, bring it down to $2.49. An interesting roguelite platformer that has a lot of replayability just because, that's the nature of the subgenre. And it's also in that nice little impulse buy range, which it's very tempting for me right now because it's been on my wish list for ages, and I've just never really pulled the trigger on it, and I'm not 100% sure why. All right, you're up.
Alrighty, well, my next game, or my last game, is Restaurant...
Which is also your next game.
Yes, is Restaurant Empire 2. Have you ever wanted to own a restaurant, decorate it, choose the type of cuisine that it sells, advertise it so people will come in? Well, this is the game for you. It's just kind of wacky and silly. It's got some management. Obviously, it's a management type game. The management aspects to it aren't too in depth. The first one was really stupid. You could get like girls in bikinis to come and be your waitresses and the.
Well, wait, I'm not allowed to do that?
Well, you can still do that in this one, but it's more difficult to unlock. It just takes longer. Like that was one of the starting things. It's like, all right, you open your first restaurant. It's like, what do I want my staff to be? You're picking your staff uniform, and you realize it's like, oh, I can just put bikinis on all of them. And so that's what you do. You put bikinis on all of them. They're super cheap, and you attract lots of men.
Gee, I can't imagine why.
But it's just a fun...
It's almost as if there's a restaurant chain that's devoted around scantily clad women.
Yeah. So...
I would imagine it would have a name, reminiscent of a pair of tits.
I wish that instead of being called a Hooters, it was called a pair of tits. That would be so much better. But yeah, it's just a silly kind of management game where the object is to, manage a restaurant, sell food. Normally it is $19.99. It's 66% off, so it puts it at $6.79. So that's your picks. That's my picks. That means it's time to move on to the end of the show.
Yep.
Rach, what's going on for you this week on your channel and whatnot?
Well, my recording schedule's just shot out to hell because, you could hear my voice.
Right.
But assuming this doesn't absolutely kill my voice tomorrow, I should still be on schedule for next week. As always, I'm running 3 series. I literally just started on Victor Vron, which you saw the first episode of. I did see you comment on that.
Yep. Looks pretty good as far as, Yeah,
it's almost anti-RPG just with the way it handles.
Yeah. It looks actually really compelling.
Yeah, it's a lot more movement-based than a lot of ARPGs because ARPGs have a tendency to just have that syndrome where you're just sitting in place and swinging away. Or you're walking up to something and hitting it with a stick or, equivalent thereof. But this is very movement-based, a lot of dodging, actually jumping. And I'm enjoying it so far. I'm due to record it again tomorrow night, assuming my voice holds out. And beyond that, I think I'm wrapping up the interactive adventures of Dog Mendoza and Pizza Boy probably next week, maybe the week after. I'm not 100% sure there, but it feels like it's starting to wind down. And I'm not sure what I'm going to replace that with. And as you heard, I'm doing War Thunder this week as a temporary replacement for Terraria while you get over your burnout.
Yep.
And as always, the podcast on Friday, actually I've changed it to being Friday at noon because The scheduler's already fucked me once, so why the hell not at this point?
Oh yeah, speaking of that, last week I accidentally put the podcast live at like 9 in the morning on Friday. Because I set it for, for 12, but I picked, it was the 12 that means midnight instead of the 12 that means noon.
Whoops.
So it went live as soon as I scheduled it. Because it's like, oh, you've scheduled it for a time in the past, so I'm just going to put this live. And then once you put it live, you can't reschedule
Well,
it.
You didn't hear that warning saying, hey, this is in the past, you nitwit.
I just was like, click, 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 click. Oh, whoops. So anyone who was astute could have listened to it like 3 hours early last Friday.
Granted, if they're astute, they can listen to it about 12 hours early. But I'm not going to say how.
Yeah.
Because they have to be astute for that.
That's true. That's true. I'm not going to give it away. But you could, actually. You could listen to it anywhere between 12 and 24 hours early. Okay. Well, is that it before I jump in?
And also the Sunday Sampler, as always, which the summer slump is starting to come to an end on indie games, so I have a few interesting choices for this week. That doesn't require me to go back in my backlog and pick a very mediocre point-and-click adventure. And as always, I am on Twitter at Gaming with CR. My YouTube, of course, is just Gaming with Caffeine Rage. And I've been kind of silent on my Twitter just because I've been, well, either busy or feeling kind of dead.
Right.
So I've been a little silent there. I'm going to try to perk up a little bit.
Get all perky.
And that's really about it. Unless I'm missing something.
All right. Well, for me this week, you've got some War Thunder content coming. The stuff that we recorded, I actually scheduled it for the proper time. So just one time only our videos will match that are supposed to.
I'm going to have to change it by time then.
Whatever. It's close enough. You'd have to change days to actually really mess it up enough for me to even think about caring.
Shame I can't do it on 30-minute intervals.
So yeah, there's some more War Thunder videos coming. Stuff outside of what we recorded also. I've got a couple that I recorded. There's some Rocket League stuff. There is Terraria videos, which are in the pipeline, but I don't think they actually go live until the next week. I have so many scheduled videos, which is hopefully going to continue to be a trend for me. Let's hope that I'm better about that in the future. There's also streams, although the streams might actually be all caught up by the time this releases. I don't remember, and I'm not going to go check the schedule right now to make sure of that. And then, of course, there's the podcast on Friday on my YouTube channel, Gaming Psychologist. Oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I said ding.
Oh, ding. I, of course, will be streaming, as per usual, on Wednesday and Friday. And if you're not dead, then you'll come stream on Wednesday, I'm sure. You can find me there over at twitch.tv/jarthur4707. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at JMA4707, where here lately I've been talking a lot about building computers and computer parts. And when my 480 comes, if you want to go back and look, I guess, at my tweet history at this point, you can see, at the point of you hearing this, you can see either how much I was excited or how much I was very sad / angry that it worked or was broken. And I do want to make a quick kind of call for help from the audience. So someone suggested to us that it would be a good idea to put together kind of a best of episode and use that as a introduction to people who we share our content with.
In a tweet that I missed, and I do apologize for that, it was suggested that, warming up to us over a 3-hour podcast may be a bit tough for a newbie.
Yeah.
Can't imagine why.
So, we've got like 90 hours worth of content that I'm going to have to go through to put together a best of episode that's roughly an hour long. That's what I'm going to shoot for. Somewhere between a half hour and an hour. So if you guys would be so kind as to send in some of your favorite moments, it would be helpful if I knew at least which episode they came from. Timestamps would be amazing, but you don't have to get that specific if you don't have the time.
And say the outro music doesn't count.
Oh, that is a good joke, though. But so yeah, if you guys want to submit your favorite moments and at least what episode they came from, so that I can find them, that would help me out greatly.
I imagine one suggestion, maybe the Tootsie part.
Tootsie. By the way, no one said Tootsie to me last week, so.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yep. So we're 1-1. You got a 50% ratio on that one, so.
Which honestly, that's a lot higher than I thought it would be.
So yeah, since you forgot the tweet, I figured now would be a good place to bring that up. So please, you can tweet them to me. You can email them to us. You can tweet them to the VGL podcast Twitter account. I mean, I have access to everything, so I will be able to see them. Please give me suggestions.
Yeah, I don't imagine any favorite parts are going to be in this outside of just hearing my voice be very funny.
Yeah.
Maybe I should pitch shift it.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Kerbalize it.
That would be really obnoxious after a little while. It'd be funny at first, and then it would just turn obnoxious.
Which is about par for the course for me.
Indeed. But, so yeah,
You're not supposed to agree with that.
So, that's my stuff. That's where you can find me on the internet. And also, please send us favorite moments.
What, add you on Steam?
Oh yeah, I guess I forgot about that. You can totally add me on Steam. My Steam username is jarthur4707. I will accept any random Steam requests from anybody and hope that you're from the podcast. Feel free to chat me up.
And if you wanted to let them know that you're from this podcast, your password for this week is Aardvark. Aardvark.
Wow. That's a pretty good one. I like Aardvark. Platypus is another good one. You can remember that for the future.
Yeah, but now I'm not sure if I want to put it on the list.
Oh, whatever. Is this the list that you made while you were high on cough medicine? Because you just had a list of words.
Yeah, I have like 30 words.
All right.
Or phrases.
So yes, say Aardvark to me.
And I will admit that some of them I have used a random word generator. Others I just thought of randomly. Like, oh, that's funny. Or at least funny when I'm somewhat high on cough syrup.
So yeah, say Aardvark to me on Steam, and I will know that you're from the podcast.
Or at least from this particular episode.
Unless you're listening to this episode like 6 months from when it originally released, in which case I will be extremely confused.
No, that makes it even better.
Why some random person is saying Aardvark to me on Steam.
No, that makes it better. It completely confuse you. Because remember, you don't get a prize for this outside of just my general amusement.
Oh. So yeah. I would offer to do all the stuff that you normally do, but I absolutely would do a poor job at it because you always do it, so go ahead and do all of our endorsements and stuff.
Well, I forgot during the Steam sale to plug our Steam group, which does have a curator on it, by the way, which holds at least a partial master list right now of our past picks and games that we played. You can find it on either of our profiles, but it's under Video Game Logic Podcast, or the abbreviation VGL Podcast, and I'm blanking on the URL, and I didn't copy it into the show notes, which is absolutely terrible on me.
The URL for the VGL Podcast?
Yeah, for the Steam group, and I already got it.
Oh, okay, yeah, you beat me to it.
It's steamcommunity.com/groups/VGL Podcast. You can find the forums there, and the curator, which is a separate follow, by the way, I might add. Don't ask me why they do it that way. It's Steam does some weird things with the community side of things to begin with. But you can see our past recommendations of the games we played and what we thought about them, at least limited to 150 characters. And we wish to thank the Internet Archive for unknowingly supporting this random nonsense. A big thank you for them. And as always, like we covered a little bit ago, you can reach us at VGL Podcast with your letters, voicemails, gaming-related topics, feedback, and also what you think we should have at our supercut for trying to lure in new people, which sounds a little shady now that I think about it.
Just lure them in.
Or you can just tweet it to VGL Podcast. Our Patreon, which we are trying to get off the Internet Archive because They are awesome, but we don't want to sponge off them too much.
Yep.
But for a show our size, it's very expensive, so it requires a lot of money per month to be able to host this somewhere else. You can support us financially at patreon.com/VGL podcast, but we will never paywall our content.
Yep, that is a huge negative. Not going to do it.
If you're watching this on YouTube, we do have an RSS feed on our official site, videogamelogicpodcast.blogspot.com, where you can find the RSS feed so you don't have to watch us on YouTube and you can just download the MP3. Or we're also on iTunes, Google Play, or any other random site that Jared finds that he decides to put us on.
Which I do that from time to time.
Our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kevin McLeod. You can find his work at incompetech.com.
And as that man's lovely music starts to roll across my voice, bye now.
Oh, my poor voice. I'm out of here.
Bye-bye. So I told a random stranger today at the store, bye-bye.